one thing I wanted to get your opinion on is macro photography. It's rife with the kind of shots, and I'm sure you've seen these, where you've like got a frog with then the snail on it, and then maybe the frog and the snail are sat on a turtle, which I'm sure is the bane of your sort of stuff. But I just wanted to
Yes,
get your
yeah.
opinion on that.
They are pretty much the bane of my life. I absolutely hate these images. I hate the fact that they still get the publicity in the media, and I do a lot of kind of online campaigning when these images come up to try and educate people that these are not real images. They have been completely set up. And also, I think educating people to the level of cruelty that actually goes into these images as well. And that's the one thing a lot of people don't realize is, with a lot of these images, the frogs and the other animals, whatever's involved, they're chilled down to the point of paralysis and then positioned. And you're putting predator and prey together where they just wouldn't normally do that. And it's a very, very unnatural situation. I mean, a lot of the images come out of the same country, unfortunately. And they're actually, the animals involved are normally bought from the pet trade. So they're not actually wild either. But it just misrepresents these animals. And it as somebody that spends a lot of time photographing amphibians and doing a lot of macro work with amphibians, it's a very, very hard area of photography to perfect and also to do, because you're working in very hot, humid, wet conditions, which the camera gear doesn't like, which you'll understand. But also it just completely misrepresents them, and people think that they do all this stuff, and they don't. But then you produce images, beautiful images of a frog in its natural habitat, and people can't connect with that because they're too used to seeing these other images.
So in a way, it undermines all the hard work you've been doing, doesn't it?
It does. Myself, and there's actually a couple of other really good kind of amphibian photographers as well, and both, again, they're actually scientists as well, so they're scientists and photographers, and it really undermines the hard work that we all try and do to highlight these beautiful species on their own terms. But I think there's a big educational side of things. You have to inform people the amount of cruelty that actually goes on in these, and when they know, then you suddenly see them go, wow. You see that moment of realization, and when you've educated that one person, they can then go on and educate more people. So it's a long, hard battle, and it can get you down at times, but it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. So with your photography, are you completely hands off? Like, so you'd never touch a subject, or would you kind of move things out of the way? Because obviously there's different levels, isn't it? I mean, that's the whole frog and the snail thing's the extreme,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
But
yeah,
like, kind of
definitely.
where do you draw the line? I guess you might not have the answer. I'm just interested in.
99% of my work is done completely hands off.
Yeah,
I would prefer to photograph them completely on their terms in their natural habitat. There's
yeah,
a few shots that I have done when I've been on trips trying to get specific images for something, where I may have just moved something slightly out of the way.
yeah,
But generally speaking, it's as hands off as I can possibly be, because then they behave naturally, and you get that much more natural image. And certainly anything I do in my own garden, it's completely on their terms. So in 2018, I spent about 3 or 4 weeks when all the froglets emerged. I just sat by the pond and just captured their behavior as they just went about being little froglets. I didn't move anything. I just worked with what I had in front of me, and it produces some interesting images actually.
yeah,
So yeah, the bulk of it is hands off. Occasionally when I've been on trips, if I've been working with herpetologists as well, and we've been doing something specific, then we have maybe occasionally moved a subject, but it's moving it from maybe a couple of inches and then it goes back. And quite often, if we're doing that, we actually check the health of it as well at the same time.
yeah.
So there's a science element to it.
My philosophy has always been, as long as it's legal to do so, as long as you're not harming the animal or stressing it out, I've never really seen a problem with someone, moving it slightly like you describe. I think if you're taking it, meters or miles away to get a different kind of shot or stressing it out, then no, that's obviously not good for the animal. But a little bit just to kind of help it, and then you put it back on its way. Personally, I've never seen the problem with it, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think it's like, if like yourself and myself and a few of the other photographers that we both know, we fully understand our subjects, and we know when they're showing signs of distress. We can read that. Unfortunately, a lot of people can't, and I think it's just saying to people, just be a little bit more hands-off unless you fully understand your subject, because I mean, I know I can tell when a frog or other animal's being stressed out, so you know when to kind of step back and draw the line. And sometimes that can just be that, you know, you've maybe got a little bit too close and it gives you a warning sign and you just step back. But I think with a lot of people, if they don't understand that, then they can cause distress. So it's a level of, you know, again, it's back to the fully understanding your subject.